So, I have never been able to figure out if what I experienced is just a weird dream or if I really had a paranormal experience. My grandparents live on this old dead-end road in the mountains of North Carolina. The road's about 5 miles long and basically just a trail through the woods with a few old houses built in the woods along it. This one house on the road has been sold probably a dozen times that I remember. And it's not the fact that it's sold so many times. It's the fact that it doesn't stay occupied for long. I can't tell you how many times I've seen families move in, and without fail they've moved out in a hurry within a month. Now when I was about 14, me and my friends got very curious about if it was haunted or just scary, so we decided to break in and spend the night inside the house one night. Around 10 o'clock, we piled our sleeping bags and some food and soda onto a few four-wheelers and drove over there. When we arrived, we looked through the downstairs area with our flashlights and explored the downstairs and porches, not daring to go into the basement or upstairs because it was scary. We then played cards and ate snacks and vaped like teenage idiots until we decided to go to sleep. You know, normal sleepover stuff. And everything was normal until I was asleep. In my dream, I was in the living room and it was dimly lit. But what was weird was a dark figure was sitting across the room from me smoking a cigarette. Just seeing him there smoking silently freaked me out. Then he spoke. "What are you boys doing in my house?" he said. "We're just seeing what makes it so scary, sir," I told him. "I'm what makes it scary," he said and stood up, and I saw his face. He was an old man with a mean, stern look on his face, like the kind of man who would kick your ass for stepping on his grass. I then started to feel like I was choking in a dream like. It felt so real. And then I woke up in a sweat. The following morning, me and my friends explored the rest of the house, and in the basement, I found a picture of the exact man in my dream. I then freaked out and, to be honest, stole the picture from the house to show my grandmother. She then pointed out that the man lived there when she was a little girl. She's 87 now, and that he died in a bed fire caused by falling asleep while smoking. I have never been back there since. The house is still constantly being sold, but never lived in long. I don't blame them. I had just left to go to Mexico for a family vacation. It was during Christmas, so it was nice to get out of the cold weather for a bit. I live in Canada, so I bet you could imagine. We didn't have a dog or plants, so we didn't need a house sitter at the time. Any plants that we owned would die in the first week we had it anyway. It was a long flight home, but we finally got there and came home to a pair of glasses that looked like they belonged to an old lady. An old lady that we, of course, didn't know. And spread around the glasses were broken rose petals. After debating on what it was, we finally came to a conclusion that it was probably just an old lady that liked our house. So we went up to it and sat on the front porch, set down her glasses, and left them there. That was the first red flag. My mom would do her makeup in the morning. She had this mirror that had a ring light made for makeup. She would never turn the light on since she did it in the morning. Every night I would walk in to get something, and the light would be on. I asked her if she turned it on, and every time, she would say no. I simply just turned it off. One time, before I went to bed, I unplugged the lamp to see what would happen. Went back to it the next night, and it was on, again, with no power. I couldn't sleep for days. I was young, so my mind was thinking it was a ghost or something. Now that I'm older and telling the story, I'm debating my thoughts. This didn't happen to me, but to my older brother and sister. My brother and sister were at my grandma's house and were in a circle doing some ritual, not sure what it really was. Sophia, not real name, wanted to prove that a guardian was following and protecting her. She said when she was in this room, she felt like someone was in there, and saw an old friend that died when she like about 8, in the 3rd grade. He died from drowning in a lake near where my grandma's house was. She says she was speaking to him, then he disappeared one time. And she heard, "I can't have people looking." She saw her grandma looking confused. She thought nothing of it. Anyways, back to the story. During this, Sophia was 12. There was 5 people. None of these names are real. Nathan, Sophia, Mike, John, and Jenny. They all looked down. No eyes were open. Sophia said, "Do you think you will be okay with this?" They all heard, "As long as they don't look." Nathan looked as well, and Jenny. They saw a ghost figure hugging or kissing Sophia. They were in shock, but they felt like throwing up after. They all got out of the room. Sophia was still in the room, however. She was talking to the figure. About 6 years later, she said he has to go as she turned 18 and could protect herself, and that if he stayed any longer that he would be trapped in that house. So she let it go. She still remembers him. I don't know his name, but I hope he took care of her and didn't turn her insane. She is about 22 now. She moved out when she was 19, and I don't talk to her much. I was told about this when I was 8. And I had some creepy stuff happen. Nothing big though, just weird noises. That's it. This one is a doozy, so buckle in. I live on the border of Colorado and Wyoming, in the middle of bumfuck nowhere on a 10-acre ranch. Now our house is on a trailer, but it's on cinder blocks, if that makes sense. The road by our house used to be a part of the Pony Express. We believe our ranch is on an Indian burial ground, and to make things better, a really popular bison ranch not too far from us called the Terry Bison Ranch has found TP rings on their property. Our neighbors who we get hay from, part of their house used to be a part of an old railway station and railway line before the Golden Spike, and the railroad is no longer there anymore. So long story short, our land and the land around us has a lot of history. On to the paranormal stuff. My mother owns some stuff that was my great-grandmother's, and she is dead. This first instance is one my stepdad had long while ago that started this journey. My stepdad, who is basically my best friend, has diabetes, and he has trouble sleeping. So in the middle of the night, he goes out, grabs a snack, and sits down at the table and eats it, goes back to bed. Well, one night he got up, and he saw an old lady walk from our kitchen to our laundry room. The next morning, he told all of us about it, and my stepdad is a jokester that likes to get you all worked up, so nobody believed him. Well, that night was the start of things that occurred on our ranch that we cannot explain, and we 100% believe it is something paranormal because all of us have had our experiences. Now, my family wasn't new to the paranormal. We stayed at the old Western Hotel down near Durango, and we heard kids laughing in the hallway in the dead of night, and we opened the door to find that nobody was there. We were the only kids in the hotel. Now I was a baby, so technically the story I'm about to tell you is my first paranormal experience. My first experience happened outside. See, my stepbrothers like to come over every once in a while, and when they do, we like to play a game called hide and seek in the dark. The game is simple. Me, my 2 stepbrothers, and my sister go outside in pitch black and play hide and seek. We all get a flashlight, and you can go anywhere on the ranch, and if you're tagged, you're at first the next round. Well, since I was the youngest, I went first. See, my older stepbrother is prone to hide in the strangest of places. One time he hid in the dumpster. Well, I was walking over towards our barn, and there is an overhang next to a door that leads inside. I saw a black shadow standing there, and I immediately assume it was my stepbrother. Before I get farther, let's assign everyone fake names so we don't get mixed up. Mom. Stepdad, Zachary. Stepbrother oldest, Tyrese. Younger stepbrother, he is still older than me, just younger than his brother, Timberlake. Older sister, Trisha. Younger sister, still older than me, Amanda. Okay, now everyone has names. Well, I assume this black shadow is Tyrese, so I turn off my flashlight so he doesn't see me. When I begin to approach, the shadow starts to move. You see, if you follow the barn, there is a wooden fence that connects the barn and the chicken coop. So when I approach the shadow, it begins to go down that way towards the chicken coop. So I follow it, and my plan was when it turned the corner, I was going to jump our fence and get him. So the shadow turns the corner, and I turned the corner, and nobody was there. I was looking everywhere, under the trailer, inside the chicken coop, around the chicken coop, everywhere, and there was no one. Strange, so I think I just must have lost Tyrese. Skip to the part where I find Tyrese, Timberlake, and Amanda. They were on the other side of the ranch altogether. So when I caught them, I asked, who was over by the overhang at the barn? They all start laughing. What's so funny? Timberlake says, what? Are you fucking blind? We were over here the whole game. Mind you, they were on the complete other side of the property. My stomach dropped. I didn't tell them what I saw because I couldn't believe what I saw. A few weeks later, my Tyrese and Timberlake leave. A few nights after they left, me, Zachary, and Trisha are eating dinner. Zachary says, what's that over by the barn? We all proceed to stare out the back glass door. We all looked out there, and there was an apparition of a man clear as day that ran into one of the stables with our Jersey cow. Now where this stable was right next to the overhang where I saw the shadow. Zachary grabs our double-barreled 12-gauge and heads out to the stable. He looks from the outside of the panels and doesn't see anybody, so he climbs inside the stable and looks around, and nobody is there. He comes inside, and the first thing that he said when he walked inside was, y'all thought I was fucking crazy when I said I seen an old lady in here. Well, now you are all crazy too, because I know you saw that man over by those stables. Me and Trisha looked at each other, and I said, holy shit, you're not crazy. I saw that, and Trisha saw that. What the fuck is going on? Remember how I said my stepdad Zachary was like my best friend? Well, the night I saw the shadow, I told him what I saw. So we started connecting the dots after this incident. We saw that shadow again by the stable a month later. We believe the spirits at our house are friendly, and we think some of the spirits are Native American spirits because we think our house is on an Indian burial ground because we have found arrowheads on our property. Zachary is a heavy machinery mechanic, and on his way home from work, they had found a confirmed Indian burial ground next to the highway. Well, he stole an arrowhead from the place they had dug up the burial ground. So that doesn't help our case. Now this is where shit starts to get crazy. Trisha is home alone outside and hears inside the house what she describes as sledgehammers pounding on the cabinet doors. The volume was indescribable, she claims. At this point, we had made the paranormal thing a joke. Like if something fell, we said, that damn ghost knocking everything down. We had kinda just accepted the fact that our house was haunted. Well, Tyrese and Timberlake had come back over again for a few weeks. One night, I'm in my room playing with my model trains when my door opens, not by a lot, but opens and then shuts. Now I saw feet at the bottom of my door when this happened. So I thought that Tyrese had peeked his head in to come in and check in on me. I opened my door and said, Tyrese, what do you need? Or did you need something? Tyrese is at the sink in the kitchen with Zachary washing dishes. Huh? Do you need something? What are you talking about? I saw you come to my door. What do you need? I have been here the whole time. What are you talking about? I can tell when Tyrese is joking or not, and he was dead serious. I explained to them what happened, and they both said that they were there the whole time, and Timberlake was outside with Trisha. My mother was in the bedroom across the house. I thought that was super weird. Now this is where shit got super real. The next night, Tyrese is hungry and grabs a snack. He sits down at the table, looks up, and across from him at the table was an old lady. It startled him, and he jumped out of his chair. The next morning, he told us all about the incident, and Zachary proceeded to say, I told you I am not fucking crazy. Skip to a few days later, and Tyrese is with my mom, and they are looking through a photo album. Something catches Tyrese's eye, and he tells my mom to stop and not flip the page. He then proceeds to point at a woman who he has never met or seen in his life, and he didn't even know her name. And he said, that's the lady I saw at the table sitting across from me. The lady who he had just pointed to was my deceased great-grandmother. Zachary claims that was the woman who he saw walking from the kitchen to the laundry room. A few months later, I'm in the kitchen. I'm alone with Amanda, and I was washing dishes. I'm washing the dishes, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. Like I full-on felt a hand on my shoulder. I swung around, and Amanda was across the kitchen. I asked her, did you just touch me? No. Well, somebody did. Okay, sure. She didn't believe me. Now for the past year, everything seemed to have calmed down, until just about 3 months ago. Zachary said that his cabinet door was always open. He would shut it, get in the shower, get out, and it would be open again. One of our dogs, if he went into the bathroom with that cabinet, he would always be looking up at the ceiling. Well, I was home alone one day, and I experienced the same thing Zachary did. I was cleaning, and his cabinet door was open. I closed it, came back into the bathroom, and the cabinet door was open again. And it can't just swing open. If you were to open it just a tiny bit, it would close because of the hinges. It has to be open all the way to stay open. This happened just about a month ago. I was sitting on the couch with my dog, and she is a blue heeler, and when she looks at something you can tell where she is. I was sitting on the couch with her, and she suddenly looks into the hallway that leads into my room. Keep in mind, I always shut my door. That way our dogs don't get in my room and chew everything up. Well, she gets off the couch, still looking into the hallway, while walking towards it, and then stops, still having her ears perked up. She continues walking again and turns and looks into my room. My door was wide open, and the light was off, and you couldn't see a thing. Well, I was behind her, and she was staring into my room with her ears perked still. Then she cocked her head and began barking violently at nothing. That gave me chills. Finally, the last incident that has happened recently. Zachary had gotten up for his midnight snack. I was up I had a snack with him, and we talked for a bit, when all of a sudden, we hear footsteps at the front door, and they went into Zachary and my mom's bedroom. Then we didn't hear them anymore until we heard a growl come from their room. We both exchanged words about what we had just heard and agrees that we had just heard correctly and had heard the same thing. My mother claims she has heard something fidgeting with the front door.